take this chance to give a chance to each one of us to introduce themselves, and then we will have a few minutes to go through this webinar and get to understand how we can turn our tech products or tech ideas into software products. I think we start with Alex Nderitu, then we move to Ruben with the Apprentice account, then Edwin, then Emmanuel, Jemima, Kennedy, then lastly we will have Hussein introduce himself. My name is James Mwangi. I'm CEO and founder at Apprentice Cloud Limited. We are a tech company that primarily deals with custom software development, ERP, and CRM installations. So let's hear from Alex and the rest of us as we move on. Alex.
Okay, thank you, James. So my name is Alex. Currently working with Ruji Networks. Ruji Networks is OEM. We deal with networking products and switches and solutions provider as well. So I'm based here in Kenya. I'm supporting the Kenyan region and also the East African region as well. Thank you.
I think, James, you're mute. You're speaking while mute.
Oh, sorry. I was saying Ruben go next, then Edwin, in that order.
Right. Thank you very much, James. My name is Ruben Kiru. I am a business development manager at Apprentice Cloud. As James has introduced our company, we are a software tech company based in Nairobi, Kenya, and we are taking this opportunity to interact with members of the community who want to learn about building and building the ideas and transforming them into products. We hope you're going to have an exciting session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ruben, for the introduction. Let's have Edwin.
Thank you, James. My name is Edwin Moreni. I'm the head of implementation and support at Apprentice Cloud, and I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you. Back to you, James.
Okay, let's have Emmanuel go next. Okay, if Emmanuel is not ready, we can have Hussein.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you, Hussein.
Okay, my name is Twahir Hussein Kasim. I run a community network in Kilifi. Our idea is actually to try and get the youth out from drug abuse into gainful employment. So apart from connectivity, we also train them in digital skills. Thank you.
Okay.
We are located in a village called Takaungu.
Pleasure to meet you, Hussein. Let's have Jemima introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Jemima Ayoma. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a recently formed a startup called KiliSmart Limited based in Nairobi. We are an agri-tech company that builds digital solutions for different stakeholders in the agriculture sector. Happy to be here.
Pleasure to meet you, Jemima. Let's have Emily go next. Okay. If Emily is not ready, let's have Derek to go through. Derek, sorry. Okay. Thank you so much for coming in. I think because of time, we just get started. Hear from us. Today, we want to talk about how to turn your tech idea into a software product. As I earlier introduced ourselves, our company is called Apprentice Cloud Limited, and our main core business is to build software solutions, both for our customers who are corporate, and also for startups that want to create MVP products to test out in the market. There is work that we are able to do with various programming languages and technologies that are available. So in today's discussion, I want us to look at MVPs. We get to understand how is it possible for you to roll out a product into the market easily and in a way that is sustainable. And one of the things that I usually know about startups is that we are usually working with limited budgets, limited personnel, limited resources. So we have to be very careful of how we spend these resources to make sure that if it's a software product that we want to test out in the market, we can do so in the easiest way possible. So what is an MVP? An MVP in description is a minimum viable product, which means it's the simplest product version that you can release to the market. Usually, MVPs are not perfect, but they are very useful in helping us get what we call user feedback so that we can improve and iterate on our product to give them what exactly is needed. Let me give you an example. If you're trying to bring up a startup, there are two sides to it. You can bring up a startup without much research and study and knowledge. You just see, maybe notify or identify a user problem or a customer problem. Then you want to bring in a solution to that problem. Sometimes, if we don't research, we can come up with a product that is not very perfect and take it to the market, learn from the customer, and then iterate. But there are another group of people that would want to go to the market, do the market research, get to know what the customer wants, and they come and spend a lot of time building what we call a very perfect product. If you try to do that approach, you will have what we call challenges, because you will, yes, get a perfect product into the market, but usually customers are experts at their problems. They're not experts at their solutions. So you might identify the gap and still maybe do some research around it, but until the user gets their hands on a real workable product, they're not able to give you a feedback on what is needed. So that's where MVPs come in. We are not discouraging what we call market research or going to the market to get to understand what the user wants. What MVP says is that, can you build a simple product? Can you take it to the market in its imperfect state and get feedback from the users, which you can be in a position to build on and get a product that we usually call the product market fit, which is the next stage after the MVP. So why start with an MVP? Number one, you will have what you call early testing. You're able to test your assumptions and save time and money. I say that especially when we are at a startup level, we don't have so much money to spend. It's not like a corporate who have maybe some budget for R&D, so they can be in a position to put in resources to test. So you need to do very early testing, and you can only do that through an MVP. Then you need to get what you call user feedback, which is very, very important. In this way, you're able to gather what you call real feedback from the users, validate, and then you can also validate the market demand of the product that you're trying to push out there. So let me give you an example. Then the other thing is that you will have increased success when you roll out with an MVP, because every time we roll out MVPs, we have 7 times more likelihood of succeeding as startups. Let me give you an example. If you're seated in a room and somebody's hair catches fire, and let's say you are seated in a construction site and somebody's hair catches fire, what is the easiest solution to that problem, Jemima? Hi, Jemima, can you hear me? Or maybe let me ask Hussein. If you're seated in a room in a construction site and somebody's hair catches fire, what is the easiest solution to that problem?
I'll throw some water onto the person's hair.
Yeah, water is a good solution. What other solution is there, Arthur, in a construction site?
Hello, everyone. Well, for that, maybe use maybe SAD or any available materials that are there, because especially in a construction site, you'll find there is SAD or maybe other products like powdery products,
Exactly.
like adhesives that,
so
that are not like, yeah.
Exactly. So these sand, it's also one of the solutions that you can offer. Brian Ochieng, what other solution is there in the construction site that you can give to somebody's hair catching fire? Okay. Let me maybe give some suggestion. You might also have a brick or a brick in place. So you see, the challenge or the problem that you're trying to solve is putting off somebody's hair that is on fire. And sometimes the easiest solution that you have to that problem is a brick. A brick is not the perfect solution. But if that is what is available near you, that is what you give as the solution. And then when that problem is solved, and there's another problem in future, you're anticipating such a problem in future, you can install fire extinguishers, you can have water in place, you can have sand, and all those other solutions that you can offer. So when you talk about MVPs, you build solutions that are not very perfect, but they are in a position to solve the problem that is at hand. And the MVP approach has been proven to succeed, especially in the past, where startups like Dropbox, Airbnb, Instagram, Facebook started with very simple solutions. For example, Dropbox started with a simple explainer video. No fancy tech, nothing fancy, just a simple go-to-market strategy. Airbnb began by renting out their own apartments, and they started with air mattresses. They didn't have the fancy website that we see today. Actually, if you Google for the first Airbnb website, the first Uber website, or Uber application, they were very simple applications, no fancy stuff in there. So when we are looking at MVPs, you need to be very careful on spending too much budget or too much money at trying to create a solution that looks perfect. And that's why you have what we call early adopters. So when you target your clientele for the MVPs, you need to target people who we call early adopters, people who can pick up that product and use it in the state that is not very good. Just like the example I gave, when somebody's hair is on fire, they don't care whether you give them a brick or whichever solution that you are able to offer them. They are ready to take it because they have to solve that problem as fast as possible. Instagram, they launched with a photo sharing application with just a few filters here and there. And later on, it grew to become the Instagram that we know today. So what are the steps to turn your idea into an MVP? Number one, you have to identify a problem. In Africa, we having a lot of challenges with people trying to build or to create. They create problems and then create solutions to those problems. If you want to be successful in a tech MVP or in a software MVP, you have to do it the other way around. You start with the problem, you identify a problem that is existent actually, and then you create a solution to that problem. And don't create a problem so that you can create a solution to it. Because we have so many applications nowadays. Somebody was joking that they don't understand how people expect you to get money from M-Pesa, then put it into the application so that you can pay bills using the applications. I'm not saying that those were not good ideas, but you realize that perhaps those are applications that were started because M-Pesa was successful and people wanted to get to the fintech space. So they created applications that were not really solving any problem. So the next thing that you're supposed to do is define the core features. Focus on features solving the core problem. Don't have features that are not solving any problem, or features that are nice to have. What you put in your MVP is what you call the must-have features. For example, if it's Airbnb, they had to put in the must-have features. If it's Uber, maybe you needed to have the driver application and the customer application to make that work. Then the third thing that you do is conduct market research to validate demand and potential user needs. This is where you do what we call customer segmentation. And then you start with those customers that are very, very willing to use your product at its incomplete state. So market research is important. The other thing you do is you build a prototype or MVP, and then you start very small, and then you test your solution. Then the fifth thing that you do is that you gather feedback. These are very important steps because you need to get feedback from the users so that you can iterate and improve on your product based on the feedback that you get from actual users of that particular product. So I've broken it down to 6 steps. And these ones, I think, are the most important steps. When you want to get successful in building an MVP, you get the problem, define the core features, do the market research, build the prototype, go back to the users, get the feedback, iterate, improve. And that way, you are able to build a product that the market actually needs. So the 7th step after this is you get what we call a product or PMF, a product market fit, a product that fits the market that you're trying to sell to. Most of the time, we think that we know what the users need or the customers need, but until we talk to them, until we place an imperfect product before them, we can't really tell exactly what is needed. That's why it's important to do that iteration and get that feedback. Let me give you an example. When M-Pesa started, the only thing they had was sending money. So you take money, go to an agent, put that money in M-Pesa, then you send it to someone. But later on, they have added so many other products. This Fuliza, this pay bill, this till number. Recently, they added Pochi La Biashara. You can also buy airtime. You can also send that your money from M-Pesa to the bank. And so many other things that were added on top of M-Pesa later on, after they have tested the market, gotten the user feedback, and also been successful in the first core features of that application. So the next thing that you're supposed to do I said you define the core features of your MVP. You solve the problem. A feature should directly solve the user's problem. Again, don't create a problem that is looking for a solution. It should be the other way around. It should be, or even create a solution that is looking for a problem to solve. It should be you identify a problem that is already there, a gap, and then you fill that gap with your MVP. Then you have to iterate quickly. So you choose features that can be developed quickly to solve that problem that you have for the user. Then you also prioritize features that are cost effective so that you can be in a position to go as fast as possible. The next thing we are looking at is the MVP development process. So the first thing that you do is ideation and validation. So you validate the idea, ideate, then you refine and validate that idea. The second thing is a prototype. Create a quick design that you can showcase. Then the third thing is MVP development. Build with speed with the core features. Then the fourth thing is feedback and iteration. You launch, you gather feedback, then iterate. Then the fifth thing and the final thing is you scale. And we only scale what we call product market fit. Don't scale a product that has not gone through that iterative phase and you've gotten what we call the product market fit. Because if you try to scale a product that doesn't have PMF, it will be very difficult for you to get customers in it. So what are the common mistakes that we make when building an MVP? Number one is overcomplicating the product. You want to boil the ocean with the scope that you've set. The other thing is ignoring user feedback. As I told you earlier, users give you very valuable feedback that you can act on and actually use that feedback to improve that product that you're trying to offer to them. You also don't know what the perfect solution is. When starting startups and when doing MVPs, we all don't know what would be the perfect solution for the products that we offer. We get feedback from the users so that we can improve on them. The other mistake is you have too many features at launch. It's not a good thing to have very many features. Launch the most important features, then you can keep on adding features with demand when you get feedback from the customer. Again, that will help you save on cost and get valuable feedback and also get a product that can actually be used by the users. Then the other thing is not solving a specific problem. Sometimes we want to solve multiple problems in one application. So you have to be very precise, very specific. I'm solving the issue of sending money or a transaction of money, that is M-Pesa. It is so specific. Later on, you can add other features and other things, but MVP should be very specific. Very specific. Then the other thing is poor market research. Sometimes we try to solve problems that are not very big enough for them to generate revenue as a business when we make our MVPs businesses. So it is important to conduct a good market research, get to know the size of the market, so that when you provide your solution, it will actually fit in the market that you're trying to target. So how can Apprentice Cloud help you build an MVP? So in case you have an MVP that you want to build or a software product that you want to penetrate with in the market, we can help you with ideation, creating the first prototypes. If you're looking for investors, we can walk you with you through that journey where we do the ideation, the prototype, and we are cost effective. And we have an expert team that can take you through that process. And you don't have to spend too much money initially. I remember there's a customer who came and they needed a solution. And the first thing that we did was just Figma designs that didn't cost them too much. And they were able to go and see the investors and kickstart the conversations. without having to spend too much money developing a product. We have a few case studies. We have a payment gateway called Nurupe that we've developed in the past. We have Inkibank, a product that we did for the National Museums of Kenya, and many other examples of products that we've done, all the way from MVP stage and rollout. Inkibank, we started with Murang'a County, did a very basic application with them, and within a period of 1 year, we've been able to roll out to 13 counties, and we are looking out to roll out to the whole of Kenya, because there's a product that was targeted to Kenya. And Nurupe as well, we've been able to roll out and get very good and valuable initial customer feedback. Launching and testing your MVP. It's important to do a controlled testing, as I told you. A test with those users that are in dire need of your product, as well you can get useful feedback. Then you track the key metrics, monitor engagement, feedback, and retention for your application. Then do what we call data-driven refinement. Don't tell yourself what the user needs. Let the users ask for those features. Then you do the refinement, iterate, improved. You improve based on data and not based on whatever you might think the client needs. Then the last thing is scaling. You expand the product after you have already validated the idea and made sure that it meets what we call the product market fit. So basically that is the process that we recommend in building MVPs and turning your ideas into reality. I'll be taking a few questions as we move along. Let me know if you have any questions. I want to open up the forum. Questions. Questions? Yes, Hussein.
Thanks, James, for the elaborate presentation. Now, coming to the MVP pricing, I'm seeing that you're saying that your development team costs $22 per hour.
Yes.
Why specifically in dollars? We're in Kenya, Baba.
Basically, the reason is because of the clientele that we serve. We have customers in Germany, we have customers in the US. To standardize the costing, that's why we have it in dollars. But in case you have a project, you can always discuss Kenya shillings.
So $22 per hour, we are talking, if I'm to ask, if we were to give you some vague specification of what we needed the MVP to do, how many hours are we looking at roughly?
We've had MVPs that we did the initial ideations and initial prototypes with as low as 50 hours.
50 hours?
Yeah, as low as 50 hours. We've had MVPs that we've done the initial work, the initial prototyping around 50 hours. It's also good to note that the $22 an hour doesn't mean that when you give us work to do, or if we have work to do, it is the calendar hours, usually the man hours that we put in. So most of the time, most startups will start with around 50 hours going on, depending on the complexity of what needs to be done. And we are also able to work with you through the process, advise you. We also have discovery meetings that we sit with the client, get to understand the idea, and we refine it to a point where they can now work on it. So our proposition is not just doing the work, it's actually that process. You need to understand exactly what you can offer to the market.
any sort of discounts for a local company?
Yes, we offer discounts for local companies.
Okay.
Yes.
So thanks.
Most welcome. Yes, somebody is asking whether I'll be sharing the presentation. Yes, I will send to your emails. Arthur is saying, hello, I have a product that I have the Figma wireframes. The next phase of coming up with the sample software, and my challenge is getting investors and making it to the market. Thank you, Arthur. I suppose that's a question to me. Maybe let me clarify on something. For you to get investors, you don't have to have a product. There's some kind of investors that are called angel investors. So depending on who you're talking to, there are people who are willing to fund your startup from the idea stage. So if you have the wireframes and you have figured out the workflows and how that product is supposed to work, it is possible to actually get investment at that stage. The only challenge with angel investors is that sometimes you have to give up a little bit more equity because there's a higher risk on angel investment. But if it is investors that you're looking for, you don't have to necessarily create the product in software form for you to be in a position to get the investors. You could consider looking for angel investors. I hope I've been able to answer you, Arthur. Okay, Arthur, I hope I've been able to answer your question. Anybody else with a question? For those of us who just joined, we are taking in questions. We've had the presentation on the webinar on building MVPs. We're taking in questions. Questions? Questions? Okay, maybe let me have a recap as I also ask questions now that you didn't ask me questions. Is there anybody here who is building an MVP from maybe an early stage MVP or has an idea? Yes, Emily. I will not ask you to share the details because, of course, of confidentiality. I just need to know how many people are building MVPs and they have software ideas. Okay, we have two. Yes, and Arthur as well. So my question will be to you, Emily, first. Have you conducted the research? Have you been able to validate the need in the market?
Hi, everyone. At the point of building the wireframe prototype, that's where I am, but I have done, yes, I've done the initial research.
Okay, that's great. And I'm also glad to hear that you're doing wireframes. Wireframes is a very good way of presenting that idea. And I've had some of our customers get funding just from presenting a prototype or wireframes. So for those of us who are building ideas, just put up together, just put up good wireframes and have the concept flow. I know there are some products that you can't really test the market without having something tangible, but wireframes will give you a very good visual of what that solution looks like. If you can go to the next step of building a simple solution. So, for example, if you're looking at let's say a fintech, you can go with technologies like React Native, or even PWA, where you build a web version of that product. You put in just the simple features, the simplest of the simplest. Then you build a PWA application for the mobile to launch. With PWA, you don't need to even put it on Play Store. You just need to make it installable on an Android device. We did that with one of our products. That was Lorupe on iOS. We are not able to deploy it on the iOS store in time, so we did a PWA with it. And what we observed was within a period of around 3 months, we were able to come up with the idea, put it together. We did the wireframes. We coded it with React and Node.js on the backend. Within those 3 months, we had deployed an Android app and an iOS application. And by the time we were going to the customers, we had something that was tangible, that we got very good feedbacks from the users. So with MVPs, you don't have to complicate things. Just do the simplest solution that you can, and then put it out there, and then get feedback from the users, improve on that. The fancy things usually come later. Because with ideas, you only have two options. It can either succeed or fail. And when it fails with so much money invested, can be very discouraging. And sometimes the idea might fail not because it was a bad idea, but because you built the wrong solution for the customer. So you need to, first of all, get that customer feedback. That is what MVPs insist. Go to the market first. Get user feedback first. Then you can build those fancy features later, when already you know that this one is bound to succeed. Hussein, I'll give you a chance, and Arthur as well, before we close. Hussein, have you been able to make any steps towards building the MVP, whether research or building reference or something?
The idea is still there. We are working with a group of youth. Okay. The idea is there, but we are still prodding with the youth what they want to come up with. So hopefully I should be reaching out to you. I've already, as I followed you on LinkedIn and sent you a connection request. So I think we can take it up from there.
Okay, no problem. Be excited to see what you're coming up with, and also offer insight where possible. Arthur? How far are you with your idea? You don't have to tell us what it is because of confidentiality, but you could tell us how far you are with the idea.
Okay. After I've created the wireframes, I did a research on a use case. Then I've come up with a project plan, the system design, and currently I'm working on the technical and the financial proposal.
Oh, so you want to get funded at the idea stage?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's possible. I've seen startups funded at idea stage. I know of a friend of mine who had a great idea. So they put it together, got one customer without even having the product. They got a customer who had a need. The customer promised to pay. They went back to the investor. At that time, they were seeking around 50 million to be in a position to launch on that product. They're supposed to provide loans, credit loans through mobile money. So he went, promised the telco that they will be buying the credit in advance from them, and then they provide that loan. They were given that business, went to the investor. Investor was willing to put in the 50 million. They did their tests, built the product with the investor money, and to cut the long story short, within 3 years, they were in 28 countries. You can't do a product, you can't do an MVP from an idea stage. And people will be willing to fund good ideas, especially if you can sell. Thank you, Jemima. Thank you, Collins. So I think we're coming towards the end of this session. I would still open it up because we have 10 minutes. If you have any questions to ask before we close, but if there are no questions, we will just close. It's only that today I wanted to give us some more time to ask questions and also engage. We have our socials, you can follow us. And if you have any questions, we are always willing to jump on a call. We don't charge for that. We have discovery calls with customers, potential customers, people building on products. In case you need some insight, just reach out. We'll be willing to provide you with insight. And if it's a software product that you're coming up with, we can always give you guidance on how to go about it so that all of us can create impact in Africa. Thank you so much. Anybody with a question before we close? Okay, I will hand it over to Ruben to take it up.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you guys had an excellent time. So for the people who are able to register via the link, we'll be able to have access to share the presentation via email. We're also going to make sure we upload this video on YouTube, and in the upload, in the caption, we'll also put in the link to the slides as requested. So there's that, and at least you'll be able to have a position, you'll be in a position to interact with the content much more. And I'd also want to take this opportunity to invite you guys to our next webinar on Thursday, same time. We will have issued invitations in the same channels that we're able to share with the rest of the members. Now, unless anyone else has a question, no one? Perfect. So for the members who have told us they would like to have inquiries with our team, we're going to reach out to you, Twahir. We're also going to reach out to Jemima, and we're also going to reach out to if I forget his name, Al, so that we can at least have a bit of follow-up and be able to understand what might be your needs and see how we can support you and assist you through the journey in your entrepreneurship. And without further ado, I would like to declare our meeting today closed. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.